Hey, welcome to the JFDI show, where we talk to humans who do things that are pretty impossible to some other people who do things without hesitation. Implementation without hesitation is how I like to call it. And I'm kind of honored today, and I didn't want to embarrass you, but the first time I saw you, I believe you were DJing pregnant, and I looked up on the stage and I said, badass, I have to follow her, I have to know who she is, and I have to know everything about her, and I did. So I've been fascinated by your story, Miki Agrawal, and you're amazing. You've done so much, and I wanted to have you on here just to kind of share your story, your journey on entrepreneurship, motherhood now, and what it takes to stick out from the crowd by being completely unafraid to either develop a product or market a product that maybe might seem, might make people uncomfortable in some ways. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about Thinx and also Tushy. And I'm just going to throw those words out for anyone who doesn't know. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about both of those businesses.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And also the fact that, you shared that you're a single mom and also a businesswoman and also have this show and all the things, like, truly hats off to you. So I'll start with my current business, which I'm really excited about. It's called Tushy, and it's really looking at disrupting the bathroom category, specifically the toilet category. We think about what's happening right now. We're talking on a Zoom call, where we have Wi-Fi on our phones. It's just like the technological advancements are just out of this world. And yet the minute we step into our bathrooms, poof, we're back into the 1800s. Toilet paper was brought to America in the late 1800s and has not changed since then. And why? Because it's taboo. It's uncomfortable to talk about. People just want to run into the bathroom, quickly do what they know, what they know, and then just run out as fast as they can.
And pretend it never happened, eh? Like, I never do that. I don't poop,
Exactly. And so because of that, there hasn't been any innovation since the literally 1890s. And when you actually think about what toilet paper does, so the Scott brothers and the Charmin basically popularized it back then. They were like, I wonder what humans do every single day that we can just capitalize on over and over again. Well, poop is one of them. So let's create this soft paper and just sort of like market the shit out of it and then sell it and see if we can make it become like the thing that people do. And it's so crazy when you actually think about what toilet paper is. It's dry paper. And you basically are taking this dry paper and you're smearing poop into your butt and you're actually not properly cleaning it. And when you think about everything else in your life that's dirty, for example, when you take a shower, imagine if you take a shower and not turn the water on and just use dry paper to wipe your body down. You're like, I'm clean. People would look at you funny. Or if you went to your dirty dishes in your dish sink and you didn't turn the water on and just use dry toilet paper and wiped your dishes down, and you put your dish away, especially after you cut a raw chicken on it, just to say, like, people would think you're insane. And so the question is, why have we been so deeply indoctrinated to believe that the dirtiest part of our body could be clean with dry paper? And then when you think about what this dry paper is made of, well, right now, 15 million trees are being cut down and flushed down the toilet every single year just for toilet paper consumption. 15 million trees. Of the over 100 million, disposable paper products, 15 million of those are toilet paper. And the average American uses 57 sheets of toilet paper per day because they're just wrapping it around their hand so not to touch the poop. It's just a really crazy experience. And from a health and hygiene perspective, right now there are 30 million combined cases of chronic urinary tract infections, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, anal itching. All these things could be completely, resolved if we just use fresh, clean water to properly clean you. So what we've created is a super simple, beautiful, aesthetically modern and gorgeous bidet that easily clips onto your existing toilet and turns any toilet into a bidet in 10 minutes. So there's no plumbing, no electrical required, and it's just like a boom, boom, and you're done. And you go from the 1800s into the 21st century like that. And, there's just it's just really the big uphill battle around it is societal preconditioning. It's like, we have not used water. Oh, is water going to spray everywhere? Is poop going to spray everywhere? The answer is no, poop is not going to spray everywhere. It pulls the poop and the water into the bowl very cleanly, precisely. And then another thing's like, well, what if it's toilet bowl water or toilet tank water? And we're like, no, it's not neither of those things. It's pulling from the wall, the same water you brush your teeth with. So it's really trying to get people to like the naysayers and those who are so deeply indoctrinated to think about something completely differently, but in the same way you do every other thing in your body when you're cleaning it, or every other thing in your life. And so it's been a really fascinating adventure to use branding, aesthetic design, the best in class product, the right accessible language, to really shift consciousness, to really shift culture away from something that they've been doing for generations to something new and different. And I would argue that a behavioral shift is one of the hardest things to really do. And that makes it really fun from a creative perspective. So
what can you do in a marketing perspective with that? Because I always wonder, when you have something that's sort of like, I mean, I don't see it as controversial, but other people do. And you have like those naysayers that always are annoyed about everything. You know what I mean? What's the best advice? Or I mean, like, just mentally to handle it, you know what I mean? And also from a marketing perspective, do you just have to make it fun? Or how do you balance the education side of it too? Because it kind of has to be both.
Yeah. So I basically have a thesis around how do you really shift consciousness in a way that's relevant to people. And so it's 3 prongs. So it's basically, think about a tripod. A tripod is 3 legs, right? You need all 3 legs to really stand strong on this sort of shift, on this new idea. And if it's just 2 legs, it'll fall. If it's 1 leg, obviously it won't work. It needs to be really all 3 operating together to really, I think, stand strong against this deep societal ingrained behavior. And so the first thing is a best-in-class product. It has to be a one-of-one best-in-class product that people love. And when they use, they're like, I get it. Yes. So best-in-class product, you can't have a product that's like, it's good enough. It has to be like a great product. So that's the first thing. It seems pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised. The second thing is considered design across every touch point of your brand. So whether it's your website, your product, your packaging, your advertisements, your marketing, your, Instagram ads, every single thing that you do has to really be considered from a design perspective. When you think about, why did my previous company think, like, why did that really shift consciousness from, periods are bad to periods are cool, was because we used beautiful aesthetics, artful aesthetics to shift that conversation. Because when you're all of a sudden faced with something that you recoil against normally, but you're met with something beautiful and artful and designer, people would be like leaning in further, like, oh wow, they're talking about periods, but you leaned in first. So all of a sudden you're opening yourself up a little bit more to having that conversation. And then the third and final prong is accessible, relatable language across every touch point of your brand. And so before starting my companies, I would be too cerebral about it, too heady. I would be like, very technical, very academic, very clinical, very medical about like what the benefits of the things are. And it would be just over people's heads. And people would be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And so finally we were like, as soon as I realized that whenever I talk about my products to my best friends, I'm texting them or talking about it like that, they get it right away. It's authentic to me. It's authentic to how I describe it. They're super excited about it. And so then we started writing our copy like we're texting our best friends. And that felt so authentic. That felt so relatable. That felt so not trying so hard to please the person reading it. Like, instead of saying, I wonder what customers are going to say when I write this, instead of saying like, what do I deeply want to feel authentically within myself that I want to share? And when you actually switch that to like, what do I deeply want to share versus what do they want me to say? You can feel that authenticity. You can taste it. And then you're like, oh, I'm in. I love it. I love what they're saying because I feel that they're feeling it. They really believe in it. And so best-in-class product, consider design across every touch point of your brand, and accessible, relatable language across every touch point of your brand, like you're texting your best friend. And you can really make a huge dent in shifting the conversation and consciousness and having people try a new product.
That is such fabulous advice, because I always say, speaking from the heart, you can't go wrong, and then your story never changes either, and I always think that that's what happens. We get these talking points and they're, they sound robotic, you know what I mean, in their marketing, and they're sort of like, they're forgetting why they did it in the first place, you know what I mean? And I think that story carries through. And as someone who, I do a lot of different things, you do a lot of different things. So we talked about periods and poop, and I understand that you were in the pizza business. Or you launched a restaurant. How do you manage, or you tell us a little bit about that, but okay, because people look at me usually like other moms on, on the blacktop that think I'm nuts. But I mean, what's your best advice, like doing things that sort of are seemingly unrelated and continuing to do them well, or moving toward, from one to the other, especially having a kid? Like that's a fucking roller coaster. Like how do you manage it? What do you think is the best thing, to tell yourself every day to keep it all going?
Yeah, totally. Well, so in my first book, Do Cool Shit, I sort of break down the 3 questions I ask myself before starting any business. And so the first question is, what sucks in my world? So it has to start with me. So a pain point in my life. And so for me, having a stomachache sucked in my world. That's why I started my gluten-free farm-to-table pizza restaurants, right? So I have 4 locations now. And I started without any experience. If there's one very clear thing within the pizza, periods, pee, and poop world that I've started and created, I knew nothing about any of them when I started. That is a
I was going to say, what's the common thread there? I don't know.
Well, they all start with the letter P, so that's common, which is
there you
really
go.
cool.
There you go.
And so yeah, so that was so having a stomachache sucked in my world. So I started the gluten-free pizza place. Having period accidents sucked in my world. So I started things, having to constantly take a shower, after I went to the bathroom because I felt so dirty and gross, after I pooped, sucked in my world, so those things sucked in my world. So the second question is, does it suck for a lot of people? Because if it just sucks for us, then we're prima donnas and like, screw us, right? But if it sucks for a lot of people, then there's an opportunity, right? So 1 in 5 Americans now eat gluten-free. The celiac, concept is not concept, but disease has grown only because the way bread is being more and more processed, and it's creating more gluten. And so it's just not being able to be digested properly by people, and to varying degrees. And so I'm intolerant to processed foods. My body just like inflames and reacts. And so I have to really, really be conscious about what I put in my body. And so it sucks for a lot of people. Wow, that's 20% of Americans. That's a big market. For in the period space, every single woman, if I asked them, would raise their hands if they'd ever had a period accident, during that time. And then, everybody who doesn't have a bidet definitely has poop stuck into their butts, or will at some point get a urinary tract infection, because that bacteria kind of crawls into your vaginal walls, especially as a woman. And that is what causes the infections and the issues. And hemorrhoids, because of all the excessive rubbing to trying to get the poop out. And for males, it's like dingleberries. And, and if you actually get, and wet wipes, by the way, do not work. Wet wipes actually they strip away the natural oils from your behind. So if you're using wet wipes too much, you're stripping away, which will cause anal itching, anal fissures, which will basically be micro lacerations that you eventually have to get anal fissure surgery, which a lot of people are doing now because they want to find a way to properly clean themselves. And so, we also actually launched a travel tushy, which I'm so excited about. It's called the Tushy Travel. And it's a bidet that you can actually travel with you everywhere you go. And it's like a collapsible water bottle that you expand, and it has a spout that you could just spray your butt with, and it changes the game. And so, yeah, it's so exciting. I'm so excited for this. It's coming out literally like tomorrow. And so, yeah, it starts with you. What sucks in my world? Then what does it suck for a lot of people? And then the third question is arguably the most important, which is, can I be passionate about this issue, cause, or community for a really long time? So, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. I love saying that because it's true. People are always like, how did your business just all of a sudden take off? Well, I started the restaurants 15 years ago. I started Thinks now, came up with the idea in 2005. So 15 years ago, but really launched it, with my co-founders in 2014 after spending 3.5 years developing it, starting in 2011. And so it's really been 8 years of like really in the making. And then Tushy, really the idea came in 2013, and it's now 2019. It's been 6 years. So it does take time to really incubate and grow and get people to know about it. You think about that LaCroix, that drink LaCroix, everyone's like, oh my God, the thing just came out. They've been around for 30 years. They're 30.
Really? Oh, I had no idea.
That's
no clue. I thought it was a new thing.
Everyone thinks it's a new anomaly, but it's been around for 30 years, and it just had its moment in time now. So
so glad that you said that, because I just had this conversation with someone before. I think that a lot of the reasons why people don't go into business when they have an idea is because they set these ridiculous, lofty goals and that cannot be
I'm going to be
achieved, you know, and they're like,
Instagram.
if I have to pay $1 million in the first month, I'm totally not going to do it. I'm going to abandon it. And you're like, they have to understand achievable metrics. I mean, would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're in it for the money, people are going to feel that inauthenticity, and and you're not going to succeed. I think if you're really in it to really improve your life, improve the life of others, improve the lives of the life of the planet, of the community, of society, your passion will linger for a lot longer. Like, you will have passion for the thing. People are like, oh, here's an opportunity where I can make a lot of money. Most of those companies fail, you know, because there's really no passion and excitement behind it within yourself. And it really requires, it requires everything you've got to get a business off the ground. And people will just lose steam and just go back to doing, you know, what they've been doing before, which is totally fine. Everyone doesn't have to start a business, and everyone doesn't have to always be the CEO and founder or co-founder. Like, you can be the first or second person in command, or aspire to be that COO. I need those people around me. I need the CFO, COO. I need the strategists around me. I'm definitely a creative founder. I'm an inventor and a founder. Like, you know, like, I have my epic team right now of, thank God, of leaders who work with me on a day-to-day basis to really help organize all of the creative things I'm just throwing out. And they're organizing it, figuring out the best timing for it, what would work now, what would work later, like, what can we, and that is so critical. And so I need those people all the time. I have like 5 inventions in the pipeline, and I'm going to need amazing creatives and number 2s and strategists, and, you know, to really help drive those businesses forward. And so you don't have to always be the person who's like, that person, because it's not for everyone, and it's not for the faint of heart. And you have to really be willing to sacrifice, you know, like, not sacrifice. It's not a sacrifice for me at all, actually, but just time. You have to be so passionate about it that it's not a sacrifice, that you have to like feel like, I love it. Like, I work every night till late because I don't even think of it as work. It's fun. And then there are days where I take off, you know, and there are days where you know, like, I have a kid, so I get to like spend some time, you know, it's like kind of ebbs and flows, but then I work till midnight because I have so many ideas pouring through my head that I just want to get it out and put decks together and create things that's cool too. So it's just sort of like, for me, it's like whatever ignites the passion, that should be where you sit. Because like, one of my dear friends, Joe, always talked to me about how he's just not a founder type. He's always the COO type. He's the CEO type, but not the founder. He's not the creative person who's going to come up with anything creative, but he can drive a business to scale and to grow and to see, you know, like be the Eric Schmidt to the Sergey and Larry, to really take the ideas and just really scale it. And those are as important as the person who's coming up with the ideas. So I want to make sure that disclaimer is felt. Yeah. And said.
Yeah, and it's surrounding yourself with the right people. And how have you felt like your business or your trajectory has changed since having a kid? I mean, how do you balance? I know balance is kind of BS. You know, it's like, what's your version of balance, and how do you handle it all, especially with, you know, being a present mother, you know, which all of a sudden, like, a stops and you're like, okay, I got to fit this into the day, you know, with pleasure, but you still have to. How do you keep it going? Like, what's your best advice?
You know, I mean, I think my son is so extremely happy, and he just like is a joyful baby, because I get to be joyful in my life and do what lights my fire. And so does my husband. So when he sees us, he feels our excitement for life and our verve and our excitement to see him. Whenever we see him, we're like, yeah. And it's like a celebration. It's a celebratory reunion. Like, it's almost like picking up slow motion, like every time, because I have an incredible nanny who lives in the basement unit with her son downstairs. So it's like a family. We have a townhouse, and I feel very, very lucky, knocking on wood right now, to have the opportunity to have someone so committed to my son and so dedicated. Feels like his grandmother. You know, she like buys him toys all the time and wants to make him feel like so deeply. That she teaches him so well. She speaks better Spanish than English because she's Spanish. And it's like, and I love that, you know, and I owe so much to, that's the thing. It takes a village. And so she really does an incredible job of taking care of all of his foundational needs. And I get to go and play with him and teach him and like really like engage him so much, you know, like count and repeat and like learn. And he can, like, he's not even 2 years old and can read the whole alphabet, read, you know, 1 to 20 and count to 20. I mean, he's really he can count backwards. I mean, like, I feel very blessed that I get to focus on, you know, the parts that I love and really give a job to someone who also loves what she does in the same way. Like I talked about, having number 2 loves what they do. It's just like finding the right people around you to really create that system where we're all shining bright. And so I think that's where I get to really feel lucky in the balance of it all, because I get to be with my son when in like these, like, you know, hour, 30-minute, like 20-minute, you know, spurts. And then I get to go and like focus on my dreams and the things I'm working on too. And so it's really the best of all worlds.
Yeah. And being unafraid to ask for and accept help, right? Because I think a lot of like strong women don't want to do that, you know? And it's refreshing when people are like, oh my God, I'm admitting, you know what I mean? This is cool. You know, because I have a team as well. Like I couldn't function, and even just my little village, my neighbors, my mom, like I couldn't do any of this without them. You know what I mean? It's not just me. There are people behind the screen, you know,
and if we're too controlling, like some moms get very territorial over their kid. It's like all of a sudden, like Hero calls me mama, and Hero calls my nanny Mama Mole. Her name is Marisol. He can't say Marisol. She calls her Mama Mole. And, you know, like, I love that so much, because I feel like, thank God, he's got like almost like he's got like a grandma. He's got a second mama figure who really loves him so much. And I feel like depressurized, where sometimes it makes women feel jealous or upset, or they want to be number one.
Total insecurity. I know. I have so many like friends that have insecurities about nannies and babysitters. And I'm like they help you do what you want to do. And if they're the right fit, then they're only going to elevate not only your child, but your
whole thing. Like, you can't feel guilty about chasing your dreams. Like, the happier you are, the more lit up you are, the more shiny you are, the more of a positive example you're setting for your kid. Because the more you feel like you're not being there for your kid, and you're worrying about if you're not enough, or if you're not spending enough, and if you're always, it actually takes away from your kid feels it, you feel it, nobody wins. But if you've accepted that, hey, I have a destiny to fulfill, I've been a vessel to birth my child to fulfill his destiny, I'm going to like fan the flame of what his destiny is and love him and champion him like crazy, but I'm still fanning my own flame. Like, you put your thing over your face first before your kid. I mean, like, I'm sure everyone's giving that same analogy.
It makes you a better everything. Partner, mom, you know, whatever, friend, daughter, you know, whatever you are. So yeah, I agree. And then I guess my final question on like, and this is kind of like a different question, but I have a feeling you could shed some light on this. When we are, I would say, overachievers, and we do a lot, and we're very independent. I'm talking women, because there's a lot of people who are going to watch this that fall into the same category as me. We become a little unapproachable. We become intimidating, right? You know, and it becomes hard to function, because sometimes people are just like, oh, I either don't want to be friends with her, or I don't want to date her, or you know what I mean? All of that. I mean, can you shed any light? I know that you've written about this.
Yeah, no. I'm dealing with a friend right now that I'm.
What do you say? I mean,
I'm going through a challenging situation with that, like that. Just there's a level of like competition, or, you know, comparison and all that stuff. And it's not the first time, for sure. And I think it's the times of insecurity that the true colors come out, right? Instead of, you know, like when, you know, oftentimes like people are like, oh, Miki, you're so strong. You're so this, you're so that. So if I, Miki, am going through something painful, sometimes, you know, I've had friends who don't feel any sympathy for me, or make me not feel like I can also share my pain and my sadness, because they're like,
supposed to be the strong one, right?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be the strong one. Look at your life. You have a great life. You have a great family. You have a great husband. You have a great kid. You have nothing to complain about. What are you fucking talking about? And I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm a human being that has feelings too, and I need my friends to help process things with, as much as the next person needs their friends. Our problems might be very different, but I too have those problems. And so I think that it is something that I'm coming up against. And I think what I'm recognizing is that those who are super secure within themselves, those who are the ones who are going to be my friends, are the ones who are going to be the ones who I can lean on when I'm going through my own shit. Because the ones who aren't secure within themselves, they're going to talk shit. They're going to take what you say to them and go and spread it in a negative, twisted way to someone else. Like they're going to, do all kinds of things. And, it's on me also to choose like the right people to surround myself with. And I'm always being challenged and faced with, oh, wow, this is another lesson. Like, am I going to accept this person as my friend when I've seen their true colors? When I'm going through something painful, will they actually be there for me or not? And if they're not, then it's time to take a backseat to my close friendship circle. And so that's, it's part of life. It's not there's pain in the beginning, but then there's an acceptance of, okay, cool. Like, thank you for shining a light on where we're at. Totally cool. Like, and no worries. And I have like another girlfriend who's coming over today who is so secure within herself, who's so powerful, who I am so inspired by, and who I'm so, and so like it ebbs and flows. People come and go into your life, and you just start to hone more and more and more into who your people truly are. As you get to know yourself, as I get to know myself, I'm starting to really, really be more choosy, because I've been so shoot from the hip, like calling people best friends without actually asking myself, wait, have they been there for me when I'm going through, or are they just really fun to be around all the time?
Yeah, have they earned that title? Yeah, and you see it in your worst moments possible. And like, totally. When you knock down, drag down, like who's there picking you up and making you laugh. And I think the circle becomes tighter as you get older. Like the 40s are a wonderful thing, I think.
Yeah.
I love my 20s, I love my 30s, but the 40s just bring a little bit of clarity.
You just tell your truth. Like I love speaking. I feel so powerful speaking my truth and being like, hey, you sucked in this moment. You really, wow, you hurt me. That sucked. Wow. And like, and it's empowering and also truthful to be in integrity with what you're thinking, feeling, and saying. And that's what my coach constantly tells me and challenges me to do. I have an amazing leadership and life coach who really, really coaches me and challenges me to always be in integrity with what I'm feeling, thinking, and saying at the same time. Because when we're saying something totally different to what we're thinking or feeling, that's we're completely lying. We're out of integrity. Even if we're good people in the world, we're still out of integrity, and that's a form of lying. And I think that we all have to be super honest with is what I'm thinking, feeling, and actually saying out of my mouth the same? And if the answer is no, then you got to go clean that shit up. And I finally, with one of my friends, who I'm just really saddened by the way, like she handled a point where, like where I was really going through something, I just shared my truth, and I feel so good about being in integrity with myself around that.
No, you can never be wrong. As we spoke about speaking from the heart, you can never be wrong.
That's right.
I think it's the number one thing. Where can people find you if you want to like keep up with you and keep your which is hard.
Yeah.
Where's the place for people to follow your adventures?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely follow me on Instagram. I definitely do a lot of storying, and I write a lot of my thoughts and my musings there. So check out @Miki Agrawal on Instagram. I would, if you want to check out all my projects, you go to mikiagrawal.com, but I would definitely go to hellotushy.com because it will change your life. And I think people, when they, when you get one, you'll just be like, I can't believe I was living in the dark ages until now. And in 10 minutes, your whole life will be shifted. So I'm so excited to hear from you there. So yeah, @hellotushy, @Miki Agrawal on Instagram. And also if you want to check out my books, Do Cool Shit and Disrupt Her, they both can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere else. And if you want to see a really weird video of me being birthed out of a vagina as my launch video for Disrupt Her, check out disrupther.co.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.